Every day you either get smarter or you stay the same. The choice is always in your hands. Think about that for a moment. The truth is, becoming smarter is not about being born with talent. It's about the small things you practice daily. Most people waste their days on distractions, but smart people do something different. They build habits that make their brain stronger, their memory sharper, and their decisions clearer. This is not complicated. You don't need to be a genius to become smarter. You just need to know which daily actions make the difference. That's exactly what this video will give you: 10 habits of smart people that you can start using right away. These habits are practical, proven, and life-changing when applied with consistency. If you're ready to stop wasting time and start upgrading your mind every single day, stay with me. What you hear today can completely change the way you grow. Chapter 1. Train your brain daily by learning one useful fact. If you want to grow in life, if you want to build a mind that stays sharp and strong, you cannot take your brain for granted. Every day that goes by is an opportunity to make yourself a little smarter. Not by trying to know everything, not by chasing after complicated ideas, but by giving your brain something useful to feed on. One useful fact a day. That's the habit of smart people. It sounds simple, but when you practice it daily, it changes the way you think, the way you decide, and the way you live. Think about it. Your brain is always working. From the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, it's taking in information. Most of the time, it's background noise, social media, random conversations, gossip, or distractions. None of that is truly useful. None of that makes you wiser or stronger. The difference between people who keep improving and those who stay stuck is that one group is intentional with what they feed their mind. Smart people don't wait for random knowledge to pass by. They make a choice every day to learn something that adds value. Now, what does it mean to learn one useful fact daily? It means you don't overwhelm yourself. You don't try to read 100 pages in one night and then forget it all tomorrow. Instead, you focus on one clear, practical piece of knowledge you can understand, remember, and use. This could be a statistic that sharpens your perspective, a principle that improves your health, a concept that changes how you manage money, or even a truth about human behavior that helps you deal with people better. Imagine the impact. If you learn just one fact every day, in 1 year, you will have 365 powerful ideas in your mind. That's not noise. That's not trivia. That's growth. And because you learn one fact at a time, you give your brain the chance to store it, to recall it, and to connect it with the rest of what you know. The brain loves clarity. When you overload it, you forget. When you give it one clear fact, you remember, and you use it. This habit builds discipline, because learning one fact daily means you must decide where to look. You must read a page from a book, listen to someone wiser than you, watch an educational video, or study an article that teaches something important. Each time you do it, you're making a small investment in your intelligence. Just like the body gets stronger when you train it, the brain gets stronger when you give it useful work. Think about how this changes your confidence. When you're in a conversation and someone brings up a topic, you'll have something real to contribute. Not gossip, not opinion, but a fact that gives weight to your words. People respect the one who knows what he's talking about. They listen to someone who can back up what he says with knowledge. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you trained your brain daily. Let's talk about the psychology here. The brain is designed to seek patterns, to make connections, and to predict outcomes. When you feed it one new fact daily, you give it material to work with. Over time, it starts linking these facts together. You learn something about finance today, then something about human behavior tomorrow, and suddenly you realize they connect. You see that managing money is not just numbers, it's also about controlling emotions. That's how intelligence grows, one piece at a time. But here's the key, you must make the fact useful. Don't waste your mental energy on things that don't matter. Learning who won a game last night might entertain you for a moment, but does it really sharpen your life? Does it make you more capable? Instead, choose facts that impact your health, your work, your relationships, your finances, or your personal growth. That's how smart people separate themselves. They're selective. They choose what they put into their mind. Now, how do you practice this in daily life? Start with a small system. Keep a notebook or a digital file where you record the fact you learned that day. Write it in your own words. Writing locks it into memory. If you only hear it or read it, you might forget. If you write it down, you strengthen your recall. Then, take one more step. Think about how you can apply that fact. If you learned today that drinking enough water improves concentration, don't just keep it in your notebook. Start drinking more water tomorrow. That's how knowledge turns into wisdom. The habit is simple, but the effect is powerful. You'll notice your conversations becoming sharper. You'll notice your decisions becoming wiser. You'll notice your confidence growing because you know something real and you can use it. That's what happens when you commit to training your brain daily. Another important detail is emotion. When you learn one fact daily, you're not just collecting information, you're giving yourself a sense of progress. Progress is emotional. It feels good to end your day knowing you became a little smarter than you were in the morning. That feeling builds momentum. It tells your brain, I'm not wasting my time, I'm moving forward. And that emotional reward keeps you consistent. Now, consistency is everything. Anyone can learn a fact here and there. That doesn't make you smarter. What makes you smarter is the daily discipline. It's the choice to do it every single day, even when you're busy, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. Smart people don't wait for the perfect mood to learn. They know their brain is worth training, so they do it anyway. That's what separates the few who keep improving from the many who stay the same. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are in life right now. Maybe you're struggling, maybe you feel behind, maybe you think you don't have enough education. But if you commit today to learn one useful fact every single day, you'll see yourself change. In a year, you'll know more. In 3 years, you'll be far ahead of most people. In 10 years, you'll be the one others look to for answers, because you built your intelligence step by step, one day at a time. There's also a deeper truth here. Training your brain daily is not just about knowledge, it's about self-respect. When you give your mind something valuable, you're telling yourself that you matter, that your future matters, that your growth matters. You're saying, I am worth the effort. That's why smart people look different. They carry themselves with confidence because they know they are investing in their mind every day. And here's something powerful. When you train your brain daily, you also raise your standards. You stop settling for junk information. You stop wasting time on things that don't grow you. You become more aware of how you spend your hours. That awareness alone can change your life. Because once you start valuing your mind, you start valuing your time. And when you value your time, you stop wasting it. So ask yourself, what is one fact you can learn today that will make you better tomorrow? Maybe it's about your health. Maybe it's about money. Maybe it's about relationships. Maybe it's about mindset. Whatever it is, write it down, remember it, and use it. Then repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Over time, you'll look back and realize you've built a powerful mind, a smart mind, a mind that can think clearly, decide wisely, and lead strongly. That's the challenge I want you to take. Don't wait, don't put it off. Start today. Train your brain daily by learning one useful fact. Do it for a week and feel the difference. Do it for a month and notice how you change. Do it for a year and you'll never stop. Because once you experience the power of daily learning, you'll know there's no better habit. It's the habit of smart people, and it can be yours if you decide. And remember, the person you are today is not fixed. Your intelligence is not fixed. Your potential is not fixed. You can grow, you can change, you can become smarter every single day. All it takes is the daily decision to feed your brain something useful, to respect your mind, and to commit to progress. That's how you build a smarter life. That's how you shape a stronger future. And that's how you become the kind of person others look to for guidance. The path is clear. The choice is yours. Train your brain daily by learning one useful fact. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it every day. And watch your life rise to a higher level. Chapter 2. Sharpen your thinking daily by asking better questions. If you want to sharpen your mind, you must begin with the kind of questions you ask yourself every day. A weak question produces a weak answer. A strong question forces you to think deeper, to look wider, and to open your mind to a better solution. The habit of asking better questions is what separates people who drift from people who grow. Your thinking is shaped by the questions you bring into your day, and when you raise the quality of those questions, you raise the quality of your decisions and your life. Most people go through their days without much thought about what they ask themselves. They settle for quick questions that don't challenge the mind. They ask, "Why me?" or "When will things get easier?" These kinds of questions only produce frustration. They close the door instead of opening it. Smart people do something different. They wake up and ask questions that guide them forward. They ask, "What can I do today to improve? What can I learn from this mistake? What's one action that would move me closer to my goals?" Those questions sharpen the mind, they sharpen focus, and they bring answers that are useful. Your brain is like a search engine. It gives you back what you ask of it. If you type in a poor question, you get a poor result. But if you type in a better question, you get insights that change your path. That is how you take control of your own intelligence. Every time you face a challenge, instead of asking why it happened, you ask what you can learn from it. Every time you feel stuck, instead of asking who's to blame, you ask what step you can take to move forward. These shifts in questioning make you a smarter person day by day. Asking better questions also makes you more aware of your choices. For example, before making a decision, you can ask, "What is the long-term effect of this choice?" Or, "Will this move me closer to where I want to be?" These questions cut through impulse. They push you to think about consequences, not just feelings. When you practice this daily, your thinking becomes sharper, your judgment becomes clearer, and your results become stronger. This habit works in every part of life. In relationships, instead of asking, "Why doesn't this person understand me?" you can ask, "How can I explain myself more clearly?" In health, instead of asking, "Why can't I lose weight?" you can ask, "What specific habit is holding me back?" In finances, instead of asking, "Why don't I have enough money?" you can ask, "What skills can I build to increase my income?" One shift in the question completely changes the direction of your thinking. It takes you from being a victim of circumstances to being in control of solutions. Better questions also lead to better learning. When you read a book, don't just absorb the words. Ask yourself, how does this apply to me? What's the key idea here? How can I use this today? When you meet someone successful, don't just admire them. Ask, what did they do differently? What habits can I learn from them? What mistakes did they avoid? Curiosity, directed by good questions, transforms every experience into an opportunity to grow smarter. Psychology tells us that the brain responds to focus. The moment you ask a question, your brain begins to search for an answer, whether you realize it or not. That's why negative questions make life harder. They focus your mind on problems. Positive, strategic questions focus your mind on growth. If you train your brain daily with sharp questions, it will always be working for you. Even when you're not actively thinking about it, the answers will start to surface. Another benefit of asking better questions is that it improves the way you connect with people. Most people only ask shallow questions in conversations. They ask, "How are you? What do you do?" And then they move on. Smart people ask deeper questions that spark real dialogue. They ask, "What inspired you to do this work? What's the most important lesson you've learned this year? What's one thing you wish you had known earlier?" These questions open doors to insights you would never discover otherwise. They also show people that you care, and in return, they share more openly. Relationships become richer, and knowledge grows. To practice this habit, start by noticing the kind of questions you currently ask. Write down the first questions that come to mind when you face stress, when you make decisions, or when you talk with others. Are they shallow, emotional, or limited? Then replace them with sharper ones. Instead of, "Why am I so unlucky?" replace it with, "What action can I take right now to improve this?" Instead of, "Why is life so unfair?" replace it with, "What can I control in this situation?" By making these swaps every day, you rewire your mind to think with clarity and power. Consistency is the key. If you only ask better questions once in a while, you won't see lasting change. But if you ask them every day, your brain will adapt. It will become a habit to challenge yourself, to go deeper, to think more critically. In time, you will notice you no longer settle for quick answers. You will start questioning assumptions, questioning routines, questioning habits, and questioning excuses. This is what smart people do. They never stop questioning. When you train yourself to ask sharper questions, you also build resilience. Life is full of obstacles, but if you can ask, "How can this difficulty make me stronger?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you turn setbacks into growth. This doesn't make the challenge disappear, but it gives you the strength to face it with a different mindset. Resilient people aren't born, they are created by the questions they choose to ask themselves when times get hard. Asking better questions also pushes you beyond surface-level living. Many people accept things as they are. They never ask, "Why do I believe this?" or "Is there a better way to do this?" Because of that, they stay in the same patterns for years. But when you start asking those questions, you break free from autopilot. You see options where others see limits. You see possibilities where others see walls. That's how you grow smarter every single day, by refusing to settle for easy questions and easy answers. Smart people also know that asking better questions leads to innovation. Every new idea starts with a question. How can this be done faster? What if we tried this differently? Why not explore this option? These questions fuel creativity and progress. You don't have to be an inventor to use them. You just have to bring them into your own life. Ask yourself, what's one small way I can improve my routine? What's one better habit I can build this week? Over time, these small improvements compound, and you become the kind of person who constantly evolves. If you want to make this habit stick, create a daily practice. Every morning, write down 3 questions that matter. Questions that guide your day. Questions that sharpen your focus. Questions that remind you of your goals. Then, at night, review them and ask, did I live up to these questions today? This simple exercise will train your mind to always be on the lookout for better answers. Remember, intelligence is not only about knowing facts, it's about knowing how to think. and thinking is sharpened by the questions you ask. If you want to get ahead, don't just gather more information, train yourself to ask sharper questions, because the right question at the right time can open doors that 1,000 facts never could. So ask yourself now, what's one better question I can ask today that will change how I think? Start there. Keep asking. Keep sharpening. Because the smarter questions you ask, the smarter your life will become.
Chapter 3. Strengthen your memory daily by recalling what you learned. If you want to become smarter every day, you cannot just consume knowledge and move on. The real growth happens when you take time to strengthen your memory by recalling what you have already learned. Information is everywhere today, but wisdom only comes to those who can remember, reflect, and apply what they know. Most people forget almost everything they read, hear, or watch within a few days. They take in a lot, but retain very little. The people who rise above that pattern are the ones who train their mind to recall, review, and reinforce what matters. Think about this carefully. If you study something today but forget it next week, what good does it bring you? That effort is wasted. On the other hand, if you learn a concept today, recall it tomorrow, practice it next week, and use it in your life, it becomes a permanent part of who you are. Memory is not about having a perfect brain. It's about building the habit of bringing information back to the surface until it sticks. That's how you make knowledge a tool instead of letting it slip away. There is a psychology behind memory that works in your favor if you use it daily. Your brain strengthens connections through repetition and retrieval. Repetition is obvious. You see the same thing again and again until it becomes familiar. But retrieval is more powerful. When you force yourself to recall something without looking at the book, the notes, or the video, you make your brain work harder. That effort is what locks the information into long-term storage. If you only read and never recall, you may think you know, but your brain won't hold on to it. When you recall, you prove to your brain that the knowledge is valuable. This is why smart people build recall into their daily routine. They don't just read a page and move on. They pause and ask, what did I just learn? Can I explain it in my own words? Can I remember the key point without checking? That small pause trains memory. Over time, it creates a sharp mind that doesn't lose what it learns. You can practice this in simple ways. After finishing a chapter in a book, close it and write down the 3 main points you remember. After listening to a talk, take a few minutes to tell yourself out loud what the speaker said. After watching a documentary, summarize the key ideas in your journal. These are not difficult actions, but they make the difference between shallow learning and deep learning. When you strengthen your memory daily, you also improve your confidence. Think about the feeling when someone asks you about a topic and you can clearly recall what you studied. That feeling of certainty builds self-respect. You're not just guessing or repeating vague ideas, you're recalling facts, principles, and lessons with clarity. This makes you valuable in conversations, in work, and in life. People trust someone who remembers and applies knowledge. Memory training is also about emotional connection. You remember better when you attach meaning to what you learn. If you study something and ask, how does this matter to me? How can this improve my life? How can I use it right away? Your brain gives it priority. Meaningful knowledge sticks, meaningless knowledge fades. That's why recalling what you learn daily must involve connecting it to your own goals, problems, and dreams. When you recall, don't just repeat the words. Relive the moment you learned it. Feel why it matters. That emotional layer makes memory stronger. Another powerful technique is spaced recall. Instead of recalling only once, revisit the same idea after a day, then after a week, then after a month. Each time you recall, you make the memory harder to erase. This is how language learners build fluency. They don't just memorize words once, they recall them again and again until the words become natural. You can use the same principle with anything you want to learn. Finance, health, communication, leadership, or personal growth. Now let's bring it into daily practice. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to ask yourself, what did I learn today that I want to remember? Then speak it or write it. Tomorrow, ask again, what did I learn yesterday? This simple routine compounds. In a month, you'll have dozens of lessons stored clearly in your mind. In a year, you'll have hundreds. And because you recalled them repeatedly, they'll be part of your thinking, not just passing ideas. Strengthening your memory also improves decision-making. When faced with a challenge, you'll recall similar situations, lessons you learned, and principles you've studied. Instead of reacting blindly, you'll bring knowledge to the moment. That's the difference between someone who struggles and someone who leads. Leaders are not just born. They are people who remember and apply what they've learned under pressure. One of the mistakes people make is assuming memory is a gift some have and others don't. The truth is, memory is a skill. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. If you never practice recall, your memory stays weak. If you recall daily, your memory sharpens. Age doesn't stop it. Circumstances don't stop it. It's a matter of habit. That's why you must train it every single day. Recall also helps you build patterns in your mind. When you remember what you learned yesterday and connect it to today's lesson, your brain builds a web of knowledge. That web makes you think faster and smart. For example, if you recall a principle about discipline and then later recall a fact about health, you might connect them and realize discipline is also what helps you stay consistent in exercise. These connections are what create wisdom. Without recall, knowledge stays scattered. With recall, knowledge integrates into something useful. Here's another point. Recall improves creativity. Many people think creativity is only for artists, but creativity is really about combining ideas in new ways. The more you can remember, the more raw material your brain has to work with. When you recall different lessons daily, you give your mind building blocks. Later, when faced with a problem, your brain will combine those blocks into new solutions. That's how innovations are born, not from forgetting, but from remembering and reusing knowledge. To make this habit stick, attach it to something you already do. Recall while brushing your teeth at night. Recall during your walk. Recall when you're waiting in line. It doesn't need extra time, it only needs intention. Choose a moment daily when you bring back something you've learned. Soon it becomes second nature. And never underestimate the power of writing. Keeping a journal of recalled lessons is one of the smartest things you can do. It creates a personal library of wisdom that belongs only to you. When you look back after months or years, you'll see how much you've grown, how much you've learned, and how much you've remembered. That proof strengthens belief in yourself, which is priceless. Strengthening your memory is not about living in the past. It's about carrying the past into the present, so you can shape the future. Each time you recall, you're not just remembering. You're preparing yourself for the next challenge, the next opportunity, the next decision. You're building a mind that is armed with experience and knowledge. So decide to practice this daily. Don't let knowledge slip away. Don't let your hard work go to waste. Each lesson you recall is another tool in your hands. Each fact you remember is another step toward wisdom. Each idea you bring back is another way to strengthen your future. Be intentional. At the end of today, recall what you've learned. Tomorrow recall again. Keep repeating. Day by day, your memory will grow stronger. Your confidence will rise higher, and your intelligence will deepen. That is the habit of smart people. They don't just learn, They remember. They don't just collect information. They carry it with them. And you can do the same. Starting Chapter 4. Boost your focus daily by finishing one hard task. If you want to build focus, you must stop running from the hard things. Focus does not grow when life is easy. It grows when you face one difficult task each day and see it through until it is finished. Every time you push yourself to complete something that demands effort, you train your mind to stay present, to stay sharp, and to stay disciplined. People who avoid hard tasks often complain about distraction, but the truth is, distraction comes when you never challenge your brain to stick with one meaningful job. The way to fix that is simple but not easy. Choose one hard task daily and finish it. When you wake up, your mind is full of energy and possibility. That's the time to give yourself something that matters. Maybe it's writing an important proposal. Maybe it's studying a subject that requires full attention. Maybe it's completing a workout that pushes your limits. Maybe it's making the difficult call you've been postponing. Whatever it is, pick one, not 5, not 10. 1. Focus thrives on clarity, and when you know your one hard task for the day, you cut out the noise. You know where to direct your energy. Finishing a hard task daily also builds trust with yourself. Many people suffer from lack of confidence because they break promises to themselves. They say they will do something, but then they put it off, avoid it, or quit halfway. Each time they do that, their mind learns that they cannot be trusted. On the other hand, when you pick one difficult task and finish it, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own word. That inner trust builds strength that no one can take from you. Psychology shows that the brain releases dopamine, not just when you start something, but especially when you finish it. The sense of completion gives your brain a signal of reward. When you finish a hard task, that reward is even greater because you overcame resistance. You fought through the urge to quit, and you carried it to the end. That feeling of achievement wires your brain to crave more of it, and over time, finishing hard tasks becomes addictive in a positive way. You begin to enjoy the challenge because you know the satisfaction of completion is waiting for you. Discipline and focus are connected. When you complete one hard task daily, you are teaching your focus to stay longer. Most people can only focus for a short time before giving in to distraction. But each time you stretch your attention to complete a task, your endurance grows. Just as the body gets stronger with exercise, your focus gets sharper with consistent training. You are not born with strong focus, you develop it by demanding more from yourself daily. There's also another benefit: you become a finisher. The world is full of starters. People start projects, start diets, start plans, but very few finish. Finishing one hard task daily separates you from the crowd. It makes you reliable, consistent, and respected. People begin to notice that when you commit, you deliver. That reputation alone can open doors in your career, your relationships, and your opportunities. Let's look at how to put this into practice. Start each day by identifying the hardest and most meaningful task on your plate. Ask yourself, if I only got one thing done today, which one would make the biggest difference? That's your hard task. Don't hide from it. Don't bury it under small, easy chores that make you feel busy but change nothing. Take it head on. Once you decide, block out time, cut off distractions, and commit until it's finished. At first, this will be uncomfortable. Your mind will want to escape. You'll feel the urge to check your phone, to do something easier, to postpone. But if you resist and stay with it, you'll discover that the discomfort fades. Focus builds in layers. At first, you may struggle to stay with a hard task for 30 minutes. With practice, you can stretch that to an hour. Then soon you'll find that you can stay locked in for as long as needed because your brain has adapted to the demand. Another important piece is emotional strength. Hard tasks test not only your attention, but also your emotion. When you push through something challenging, you deal with frustration, doubt, and fear. By finishing the task anyway, you train yourself to manage those emotions. You learn that feelings don't have to control actions. This is a powerful lesson because it carries into every area of life. The person who can manage emotions while finishing hard tasks is the person who can stay calm under pressure, handle setbacks, and keep moving forward. Finishing one hard task daily also clears mental space. When you avoid hard tasks, they sit in the back of your mind, draining energy. You keep thinking about them, feeling guilty, and carrying stress. But when you finish them, that weight lifts. Your mind feels lighter, and you gain energy to enjoy the rest of the day. This is why one finished hard task often feels better than 10 easy ones. It's not about quantity, it's about impact. Focus is also about training your priorities. By committing to one hard task daily, you show yourself that not everything is urgent. You learn to separate what matters from what doesn't. That clarity makes you more effective in all areas of life. Instead of reacting to everything that comes at you, you build the habit of choosing what deserves your focus. That's how leaders think. They don't get lost in small details, they finish the big, meaningful things. Over time, this daily practice changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with focus and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes what matters. Identity is powerful because once you believe you are that person, your actions naturally follow. You no longer question whether you can do hard things. You know you can, because you do it every day. Imagine what happens if you keep this habit for a year. That's 365 hard tasks completed. 65 moments where you trained your focus, built your discipline, and grew your confidence. Now imagine 5 years. That's over 1,800 hard tasks, finished. Can you see the difference that would make in your life? The person who finishes that many challenges is not the same as the one who started. That person is sharper, stronger, and more capable in every area. The habit also prepares you for bigger challenges. Life will throw difficulties at you whether you want them or not. If you've been training daily by finishing smaller hard tasks, you'll be ready. You'll have the focus and the mental toughness to face bigger ones. But if you avoid hard tasks every day, when a real challenge shows up, you'll crumble. This is why training daily matters. It's not just about today's task, it's about preparing for tomorrow's battle. Focus is the key to achievement, and the way to build focus is simple. Finish one hard thing daily. Not think about it, not plan it, but finish it. That word, finish, holds power. When you finish, you close the loop, you send a signal to your mind, and you prove to yourself that you are in control. Each day you finish, you gain strength. Each day you finish, you grow smarter. Each day you finish, you move closer to the life you want. So decide now. Choose one hard task today and complete it fully. Do it again tomorrow. Keep building. Don't look for shortcuts. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start with what you have, where you are, and train your focus through action. With time, you'll realize that finishing hard tasks daily is not just about productivity. It's about building a stronger mind, a sharper focus, and a life of real progress.
Chapter 5. Grow your knowledge daily by reading with full attention. If you want to grow your knowledge and build a sharper mind, you must develop the discipline of reading every single day with full attention. Reading is not about scanning pages. It is about absorbing wisdom, understanding ideas, and shaping your thinking. Many people read, but only a few truly pay attention. They flip through books, they scroll articles, but nothing stays with them because their mind is divided. They are half reading and half distracted. The habit of smart people is very different.
They sit down, they pick a book or a piece of writing that matters, and they give it their full attention. That's how knowledge moves from paper into the mind, and from the mind into life. When you read with attention, you are not just looking at words. You are training your brain to focus, to connect ideas, and to build understanding. It is easy to let your eyes move across lines while your thoughts wander somewhere else. You may even reach the bottom of the page and realize you don't remember what you just read. That is not real learning. Real learning demands presence. You must silence distractions, give yourself time, and let your mind meet the words fully. That's where growth happens. Knowledge grows like a tree. Every book, every article, every piece of writing you read with attention becomes a new branch. Each idea connects to the others and expands your perspective. When you read daily, those branches multiply until you have a wide and strong base of knowledge. But if you read without attention, you don't grow those branches, you just pass over the surface. Smart people grow smarter because they don't treat reading as a casual habit, they treat it as training for the mind. Think about how your brain works. It remembers what you focus on. If you read in a distracted state, your brain treats it as unimportant and quickly forgets. If you read with attention, your brain locks onto it, processes it, and stores it. The difference is massive. Over time, daily focused reading gives you an advantage. You'll know things deeply, you'll be able to explain them clearly, you'll be able to use them in real situations. This is what makes reading with attention a habit that builds lasting intelligence. Now let's talk about how to do it. First, choose material that matters. Don't fill your mind with endless shallow content. Pick books, essays, or studies that teach principles you can use in your life. Subjects like personal growth, communication, history, finance, psychology, health, leadership. Reading with attention means valuing your time. Ask yourself before you start, will this add to my knowledge in a way that helps me grow? If the answer is no, skip it. If the answer is yes, commit to it. Second, create an environment where you can focus. Reading with attention does not happen in the middle of noise and constant interruption. Put your phone away, close the door, give yourself a quiet space. Train your mind to stay with the words. At first, this may feel difficult. You might notice how restless your brain is, but as you practice daily, your attention span strengthens, and you can stay absorbed for longer periods. Third, interact with what you read. Don't just look at the words, engage with them. Highlight key lines, write notes in the margins, stop and think about what the writer is really saying. Ask yourself questions. Do I agree with this? Why? How does this apply to my life? What action can I take from this idea? This kind of active reading multiplies the power of what you learn. Passive reading passes through you. Active reading stays inside you. When you make this a daily habit, you'll notice real changes. Your vocabulary grows, not because you memorize words, but because you encounter them in meaningful contexts. Your critical thinking sharpens, because reading exposes you to different views and forces you to evaluate them. Your imagination strengthens, because reading trains your brain to create pictures and possibilities from words. And your discipline grows, because sitting down to read with attention every day requires commitment. There's also an emotional side to this. Reading with full attention creates calm. In a world full of noise, constant scrolling, and endless updates, reading is like entering a quiet room where your mind can breathe. When you give yourself that time daily, you feel more grounded, more centered, more in control. That emotional balance makes you stronger, and it also makes you more capable of dealing with stress. Reading also connects you with the greatest minds who ever lived. When you open a book and give it your attention, you step into the thoughts of people who spent years shaping those ideas. You learn from their struggles, their discoveries, their victories, their mistakes. But this only happens if you respect the words enough to pay attention. Skimming doesn't give you that. Full attention does. Daily reading with focus also compounds over time. 10 minutes a day may not feel like much, but 10 minutes every day for a year equals hours of deep study. And because you read with attention, those hours are not wasted. They build real knowledge. In 5 years, that habit can make you an expert in subjects most people barely understand. That's the long-term power of consistency. Here's another truth. The more you read with attention, the more curious you become. Each idea sparks another question. Each book points to another subject. You build momentum, and knowledge grows faster because your hunger for it grows stronger. That hunger is what keeps the smartest people learning long after school ends. They don't read because they have to. They read because they want to. And the more they read with attention, the more their mind expands. One way to practice this is to set a specific goal for each reading session. Instead of saying, "I'll read for 30 minutes, say, "I'll read until I understand this concept," or "I'll read until I can explain this chapter in my own words." That goal forces you to engage more deeply. You're not just spending time, you're achieving understanding. And when you achieve understanding, you grow. Another helpful practice is to review after reading. When you finish a section, close the book and recall what you remember. Summarize it out loud or write it down. This reinforces memory and makes sure you truly learn. Many people skip this step, but it's one of the most powerful ways to grow your knowledge. Reading with attention also changes the way you communicate. When you learn daily, you develop a store of ideas, stories and principles you can share. This makes you more engaging in conversations, more persuasive in discussions, and more confident in presentations. People notice when someone speaks with depth, and depth comes from reading with focus. If you build this habit into your daily life, it will shape who you become. Imagine 5 years of reading with full attention. Imagine how many lessons, principles and insights you'll carry. Imagine the difference in your thinking, your choices and your opportunities. Knowledge compounds and attention multiplies its value. So the challenge is clear. Each day, make time to read something that matters. Remove distractions, focus your mind, engage with the words. Reflect on their meaning. Apply what you learn. Day after day, year after year, you'll grow into someone wiser, sharper, and more capable than you ever imagined. Do not underestimate the power of this habit. Most people drift through their days distracted. Very few choose to read with real attention. But those who do become leaders, thinkers, and creators. You can be one of them if you decide today. Grow your knowledge daily by reading with full attention. That habit will transform your mind, and when your mind grows, every part of your life rises with it.
Chapter 6. Improve your decisions daily by analyzing past choices. Every decision you make carries weight, whether you notice it in the moment or not. Some choices move your life forward, some slow you down, and some quietly shape the direction of your future. The difference between people who continue to repeat the same mistakes and those who keep getting smarter every day lies in one key practice: analyzing their past choices. If you want to improve your decisions, you cannot simply keep making new ones without looking back. You must pause, examine what you did before, study the outcome, and learn the lesson. That is how growth happens. Most people avoid this. They feel uncomfortable looking back at their mistakes, so they rush ahead without reflection. But avoiding the past keeps you trapped in it. If you want better decisions tomorrow, you must first understand yesterday.
Every choice you've made, small or big, has something to teach you if you are willing to study it. The smart ones don't beat themselves up for a bad decision. They break it down and ask, what can I learn here? What would I do differently next time? What can this teach me about who I am and how I think? That kind of analysis is what sharpens judgment. Think about a time you made a choice you later regretted. Maybe it was financial, spending money on something that didn't matter. Maybe it was personal, trusting someone who let you down. Maybe it was professional, missing an opportunity because of hesitation. Instead of burying those memories, bring them into the light. Ask yourself, why did I choose that path? What did I ignore? What influenced me in that moment? What signals did I miss? By asking those questions, you uncover patterns. You start to see that maybe you tend to rush decisions when you're emotional, or maybe you procrastinate when you're afraid, or maybe you seek approval too much when you should trust yourself. This awareness is priceless, because you can't change what you don't see. Improving decisions daily means turning your past into a classroom. Each choice becomes a lesson. The more lessons you collect, the more prepared you are for the future. Imagine how powerful it is to walk into tomorrow with the wisdom of hundreds of analyzed choices behind you. You stop guessing. You stop repeating. You stop wasting time. Instead, you use your own history as a guidebook. That is what smart people do. They take their past seriously enough to learn from it. Another reason this matters is that life constantly repeats patterns. You will face similar situations again and again. New jobs, new relationships, new opportunities, new risks. If you fail to learn from the last one, you'll likely repeat the same mistake. But if you studied your last choice carefully, you'll walk into the new situation with clarity. You'll recognize the signs, you'll remember the lesson, and you'll make a sharper decision. That's the advantage of analyzing daily. It prepares you for what is coming. This practice also strengthens emotional control. Many poor decisions are made in moments of anger, fear, excitement, or pressure. When you look back later and analyze, you see how emotions clouded your judgment. You notice how you reacted instead of thinking. Over time, this awareness helps you pause before acting. You train yourself to ask, am I deciding from clarity or from emotion? That simple pause saves you from countless mistakes. You can bring this practice into your daily life in simple ways. At the end of each day, take 10 minutes and ask, what decisions did I make today? Which ones worked well? Which ones could have been better? Write them down. You don't need pages of notes, just the key detail. Then ask yourself why. Why did that decision turn out right? Why did the other one not work? Over time, you'll build a clear picture of your decision-making style, and you'll know where you need to improve. This habit also increases self-responsibility. Many people blame others for their result. They say it was bad luck, or unfair circumstances, or someone else's fault. But when you analyze your own choices, you start to see how much control you truly have. You see that your actions, your habits, your responses, and your decisions carry more power than outside factors. This realization is empowering, because it puts your growth back into your hands. Analyzing past choices doesn't mean living with regret. It means using regret as fuel for wisdom. Regret alone is heavy and unproductive, but regret turned into learning is powerful. When you say, yes, I made that mistake, but now I understand why and I won't repeat it, you turn pain into progress. That's how resilience is built. Improving your decisions daily also increases your awareness of opportunity. Many times people miss chances, not because they didn't exist, but because they didn't recognize them. By studying past choices, you start to see what you overlooked. You realize, I had an opportunity there, but I was distracted, or I could have taken that step, but fear stopped me. With that awareness, the next time opportunity appears, you'll notice it and act. This habit of analyzing choices also strengthens your long-term vision. Decisions are not just about today, They ripple into the future. By studying your past, you see how small choices added up. You realize that one bad habit repeated over months caused bigger problems, or that one small consistent action brought you further than you expected. This gives you perspective. It teaches you that today's decisions matter more than you think, and that motivates you to choose more carefully. There's also a practical way to sharpen this skill. Compare alternatives. When you look back at a decision, ask, what other options did I have? What would have happened if I had chosen differently? You may realize you missed a better path, or you may see that your decision was right. Either way, you learn. This mental exercise keeps your mind flexible, and it prepares you to think through options more thoroughly next time. The more you practice this, the more you begin to enjoy the process of thinking. You no longer see decisions as stressful events, but as opportunities to use your mind. Each day, as you analyze past choices, you gain more confidence. You start to trust that no matter what happens, you can handle it, because you're always learning, always adjusting, always getting better. That mindset is powerful, because it turns you into a lifelong learner of life itself. Now imagine what happens if you commit to this daily for years. Think of how sharp your judgment will become. Think of how few repeated mistakes you'll make. Think of how much faster you'll move forward compared to those who never reflect. That is the real power of this habit. It compounds over time. Each day you get a little smarter. Each day you get a little wiser. Each day you make better choices. This habit also makes you more valuable to others. People respect someone who can analyze situations and provide thoughtful advice. When you've trained yourself to study your own decisions, you become better at helping others see their blind spots too. You become the person who can say, here's what I learned when I faced something similar, and that kind of wisdom is rare and appreciated. Above all, analyzing your past choices daily makes you feel more in control of your life. Instead of being a passenger, you become the driver. Instead of drifting, you are steering. You're not at the mercy of repeated mistakes. You're growing from them. You're not avoiding responsibility. You're embracing it. And with that mindset, you build a stronger, smarter, and more resilient life. So take this serious. Don't just make decisions and move on. At the end of each day, look back. Ask yourself what worked, what didn't, and why. Write it down, think it through, commit to learning. The more you do this, the sharper your mind becomes, the smarter your decisions become, the stronger your future becomes. That is how you improve your decisions daily, by analyzing past choices with honesty, clarity, and commitment. That is how you become the kind of person who doesn't just live, but grows wiser with every single day.
Chapter 7. Expand your awareness daily by observing people carefully. One of the fastest ways to grow smarter every day is to learn from the people around you. Life is not lived in isolation. Every moment, you are surrounded by human behavior, by choices, by habits, by emotions, by successes and failures. But most people never notice. They walk through life with eyes open, but awareness closed. They miss the lessons happening right in front of them. Expanding your awareness means paying attention, observing people carefully, and using what you see to sharpen your understanding of the world and yourself. Think about how much information human behavior carries. The way someone reacts under stress shows you their discipline. The way someone treats others when no one is watching shows you their character. The way someone spends their time shows you their priorities. These are all lessons you can gather daily if you decide to observe instead of rushing past. Every person becomes a teacher when you are willing to pay attention. Observation is not about judging people, it's about learning from them. When you see someone making poor choices, you don't have to copy them. You can use it as a reminder of what not to do. When you see someone showing strength, you can ask yourself how to apply that same strength in your own life. When you see someone failing, you can study what led them there. When you see someone succeeding,
You can notice the habits that supported their growth. This kind of awareness turns ordinary interactions into a constant education. Most people only watch the surface. They notice what people say, but not how they say it. They notice what people do, but not why they do it. Expanding your awareness means going deeper. Notice the tone of voice, the body language, the timing of words, the patterns of action. A person might say they're confident, but their posture might show insecurity. A person might claim they're disciplined, but their small daily habits might tell a different story. If you watch carefully, you'll discover truths people don't even speak out loud. This kind of awareness gives you an advantage in every area of life. In relationships, it helps you understand people's needs and emotions better. In work, it helps you anticipate problems and opportunities before they arrive. In leadership, it helps you know when to push, when to encourage, and when to step back. The smartest leaders are not always the ones with the highest IQ. They are the ones who pay attention to people so closely that they can respond with wisdom. To build this habit, start simple. Each day, choose one person to observe more carefully. It could be a coworker, a friend, a stranger on the bus, or even a family member. Watch how they behave. Notice their patterns. Ask yourself, what does this behavior reveal about them? What can I learn from it? What can it teach me about myself? These small exercises sharpen your awareness over time until it becomes natural. Another way to expand awareness is to listen deeply. Many people hear words, but don't truly listen. They are too busy preparing their response. Smart people listen with full attention, not just to the words, but to the emotions behind them. When someone speaks, notice their energy, their pace, their pauses. What are they not saying? What does their tone reveal? Listening this way opens up a deeper understanding of people, and it allows you to connect at a higher level. Expanding awareness also means noticing cultural differences, social patterns, and generational changes. People are shaped by their environment, and by paying attention to that, you begin to understand behavior on a larger scale. For example, you may notice how younger people use technology differently, or how older people value tradition. Observing these patterns helps you interact more effectively with different groups, and prevents you from making assumptions. Another layer of awareness comes from comparing words and actions. Many people say one thing, and do another. If you watch carefully, you'll learn to trust actions more than words. This awareness protects you from being misled, and it also sharpens your own integrity. You begin to hold yourself accountable, making sure your own actions line up with your words. The practice of observing people daily also builds empathy. When you slow down and really notice others, you start to see their struggles, their fears, and their hopes. This doesn't mean you excuse poor behavior, but it does mean you understand where it comes from. That understanding helps you respond with wisdom, rather than frustration. It also deepens your relationships, because people feel seen when you pay real attention to them. Awareness is also about patterns over time. One observation may not mean much, but when you notice the same behavior repeatedly, it tells you something important. For instance, someone who is consistently late shows you their relationship with time. Someone who interrupts others often reveals their patience level. Someone who never finishes what they start shows you their discipline. These patterns are lessons you can use to improve yourself. Ask yourself, do I have similar patterns? Do I want to keep them or change them? Expanding awareness is not just about others, it also reflects back to you. The more you observe people, the more you understand human nature, and the more you understand yourself. You start to notice your own habits, your own body language, your own emotional reactions. You begin to catch yourself in the moment, saying, I do the same thing, maybe it's time to adjust. That kind of self-awareness is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. To make this practice powerful, commit to it daily. Don't just observe when it's convenient, make it a discipline. In meetings, instead of zoning out, Study how people interact. In social gatherings, notice who speaks most, who stays quiet, who influences the group. In public places, observe how strangers carry themselves. Every moment becomes an opportunity to learn if you keep your awareness active. This habit also saves you from unnecessary mistakes. By observing carefully, you can see warning signs early. You can avoid trusting the wrong people, falling into traps, or repeating others' errors. At the same time, you can spot opportunities by seeing strengths in people others overlook. This ability comes only to those who pay attention. Imagine the growth you'll experience if you do this daily for years. You'll develop a sharp sense for reading situations, for understanding motives, for seeing through appearances. People will wonder how you always seem to know the right thing to say, or the right step to take. The truth is, it won't be magic. It will be awareness, built through consistent observation. Most people waste this chance. They go through life distracted, focused only on themselves, missing the lessons all around them. Don't make that mistake. Decide to open your eyes fully. Decide to watch carefully. Decide to turn every person you meet into a source of learning. When you expand your awareness daily, by observing people carefully, you build wisdom faster than you ever could. By experience alone, you learn not only from your own life, but from the lives of everyone around you. That multiplies your growth, and as your awareness grows, so does your intelligence, your understanding, and your ability to navigate the world with strength and clarity. This is the habit of smart people. They don't just live, they study life as it unfolds. They pay attention, they notice details, they learn from others constantly. You can do the same. Start today, observe people carefully, expand your awareness daily, and watch how much smarter, wiser, and more capable you become as the days turn into years.
Chapter 8. Develop your creativity daily by writing down new ideas. Creativity is not a gift reserved for a chosen few. It is a muscle every person can train. Each day your mind is filled with thoughts, impressions, and fragments of ideas that pass quickly and disappear if you don't capture them. The people who seem most creative are not always the ones with better talent. They are the ones who pay attention to their ideas and practice developing them daily. Writing down new ideas is the habit that separates a wandering mind from a productive one. Every time you record a thought, you give it life, you give it shape, and you give yourself a chance to return to it later with more clarity. Most people underestimate the ideas that come to them. They assume if an idea is truly important, they'll remember it. The truth is, the brain is not designed to hold everything. It is designed to process and release. If you rely only on memory, you lose more than you keep. But if you write down your ideas, you build a personal bank of creativity you can draw from any time. This is why daily writing matters. It is not about waiting for one big genius idea. It is about collecting hundreds of small ones until patterns emerge, connections form, and something powerful takes shape. Writing down ideas is also about respect. When you capture your thoughts, you are telling yourself that your mind is valuable, that your imagination matters, and that your creativity deserves attention. That kind of respect builds confidence. You stop dismissing yourself and start trusting your own thinking. Over time, this habit builds belief in your ability to create solutions, to generate possibilities, and to think differently from the crowd. The act of writing itself changes the brain. When you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, you slow down just enough to think clearly. Thoughts that were vague in your head become structured on the page. A scattered idea becomes something you can analyze, refine, and improve. This process is what develops creativity. It's not about waiting for inspiration. It's about practicing daily until your mind becomes skilled at producing ideas on command. Developing creativity through daily writing also expands your perspective. When you look back at what you've written after weeks or months, you begin to see connections you didn't notice before. An idea from last month might suddenly link with something you wrote yesterday,
and together they form a new solution. This is how innovation works, not through random chance, but through consistent practice of capturing and revisiting ideas. Another reason this habit is powerful is that it reduces fear of failure. Many people hold back their creativity because they think every idea must be perfect. By writing daily, you break that mindset. You learn that not every idea has to be brilliant. Some will be simple, some will be rough, some may not work at all, but hidden among them will be valuable insights you would have missed if you never wrote anything down. Creativity grows when you give yourself permission to produce without judgment. Daily writing also sharpens problem solving. Every challenge in life is an opportunity to generate new ideas. When you sit down and write possible solutions, even ones that seem unrealistic, you stretch your mind. You teach yourself to look at problems from different angles. Over time, this habit makes you faster and more flexible in your thinking. While others freeze under pressure, you'll already be trained to produce options. Let's bring this into practical terms. At the start or end of each day, commit to writing down at least 3 new ideas. They don't have to be related to your work or big goals. They can be ideas about improving your routine, ways to help someone, thoughts on how to manage your time better, or insights about the world around you. The key is consistency. Once you start filling page after page, you'll realize your brain becomes quicker at generating ideas because it knows you expect it to produce. Writing down new ideas daily also helps you notice opportunities others overlook. The world is full of problems waiting for solutions, but most people walk past them because they are not trained to see. When you keep the habit of recording ideas, you begin to notice patterns, gaps and possibilities in everyday situations. That awareness can lead to creative projects, new businesses, stronger relationships, or personal breakthroughs. The emotional reward of this habit is also important. Nothing feels more satisfying than looking back and seeing the progress of your mind. When you see pages filled with your own ideas, you realize you are capable of more than you thought. This builds motivation to keep going. Creativity is not just mental, it is emotional fuel. It keeps you excited about growth because you see proof of your imagination in front of you. Another benefit is that writing down ideas protects you from stagnation. Many people stop growing because they fall into the same routines. They live on autopilot. But when you commit to daily idea generation, you constantly push yourself to think differently. Even on days when you feel tired or uninspired, the discipline of writing keeps your creativity alive. That consistency is what separates amateurs from professionals in every field. Developing creativity through daily writing also improves communication. When you practice putting your thoughts into words, you become better at expressing yourself. You learn to explain complex ideas in simple language. You learn to persuade others because you've already trained yourself to organize thoughts clearly. This skill alone can elevate your career, your relationships, and your ability to lead. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you write ideas daily. You stop waiting for perfect circumstances. You stop believing that creativity only strikes at random. You realize it is a choice, a discipline, a muscle. The more you use it, the more it grows. The less you use it, the weaker it becomes. By practicing daily, you take control of your creativity instead of leaving it to chance. Now imagine keeping this habit for years. Each notebook you fill becomes a record of your growth. Each page becomes a piece of your journey. Some ideas will remain small, others will expand into major projects, and a few may even change your life completely. But all of them will be proof that you chose to develop creativity instead of letting it fade. This practice also helps you deal with challenges in healthier ways. When you feel stuck, writing down new ideas shifts your focus from problems to possibility. Instead of feeling trapped, you see options. Instead of feeling powerless, you feel capable. That mindset is what keeps people moving forward, even during difficult seasons. Finally, Developing creativity by writing daily is about building a smarter identity. Each day you write, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you want to be. You're saying, I am someone who thinks, who creates, who grows, who does not settle for the same old patterns. Over time, that identity becomes stronger, and your actions naturally follow it. So decide today. Start capturing your ideas. Don't trust your memory alone. Don't dismiss your thoughts as unimportant. Write them down. 3 ideas a day, 10 ideas a day, whatever number pushes you. Keep building, keep practicing, keep stretching your imagination. Creativity is not a gift, it's a discipline. And if you choose to write down new ideas daily, you'll develop a mind that never runs out of possibilities. That is how smart people grow. That is how you grow.
Chapter 9. Raise your intelligence daily by practicing deep concentration. If you want to raise your intelligence, you must train yourself to practice deep concentration every single day. Intelligence is not just about how much you know, it is about how well you can direct your mind and stay with a thought long enough to understand it fully. In today's world, most people struggle with scattered focus. Their minds jump from one distraction to another. They check their phones, switch between tasks, and never give full attention to anything. This weakens thinking, weakens memory, and weakens judgment. The people who rise above this noise are the ones who discipline themselves to concentrate deeply. When you concentrate, you unlock the real power of your mind. Deep concentration is not the same as casual focus. Casual focus allows you to do something simple for a few minutes until something else pulls you away. Deep concentration, on the other hand, is when you give yourself completely to one task, one subject or one problem, until it is absorbed, understood, and completed. This is where breakthroughs happen. This is where your brain connects ideas, sees patterns, and produces solutions. Without concentration, knowledge stays shallow. With concentration, knowledge becomes mastery. To practice deep concentration daily, you must first create conditions that allow it. That means removing distractions that compete for your attention. Turn off notifications, clear your workspace, silence unnecessary noise. Your mind cannot go deep if it is constantly being pulled to the surface. You must protect your focus like it is gold. Once you set the conditions, give yourself a clear goal. Intelligence grows when your concentration has a target. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I will give my full attention to right now? Then commit. At first, you may only be able to concentrate deeply for short periods. That is normal. The brain is like a muscle. It strengthens with training. Start with 30 minutes of undivided focus. No checking messages, no wandering off, no switching tasks. Stay with it. As you practice daily, you'll find that 30 minutes turns into an hour, then 2, then longer. Soon you'll have the ability to concentrate deeply for as long as necessary. That ability is rare today, and it is one of the clearest signs of real intelligence. Practicing deep concentration daily also rewires how you think. Instead of craving constant stimulation, your brain learns to enjoy focus. Instead of scattering your energy across 10 different things, you bring it all into one point. That single-pointed energy produces better results. You understand more, you remember more, and you create more. This is why concentration is such a powerful tool. It magnifies the value of everything else you do. Concentration also improves the quality of your decisions. When you give yourself time to think deeply, you see details others miss. You notice consequences, you weigh alternatives, and you choose more wisely. Shallow thinking produces shallow results, but deep concentration sharpens judgment. Each day that you practice it, you are raising the standard of how your mind operates. Another benefit of concentration is emotional control. When you train your mind to stay with one task, you are also training yourself to resist impulses.
Distractions are not only external, they are also internal. Thoughts, feelings, and urges try to pull you away. When you practice deep concentration, you learn to acknowledge those urges without giving in. This builds self-control, and self-control is one of the foundations of intelligence. The habit of daily concentration also increases productivity. Many people waste hours because they never give full attention to anything. They start something, stop, switch, and start again. This cycle drains time and energy. But if you concentrate deeply, you can complete in 1 hour what might take someone else 5. The difference is not talent, it is focus. And when you multiply this effect over months and years, the gap between you and others becomes enormous. To make this practice part of your life, schedule time each day for deep concentration. Choose an activity that challenges your mind. It could be reading, writing, studying, solving problems, or working on a project. Set a timer if needed, and commit to staying with it until the time is done. Don't let your mind wander. If it drifts, bring it back. This act of returning your focus is itself training. Each time you do it, your concentration grows stronger. As you keep this habit, you'll notice your awareness changing. You'll become more sensitive to when your attention slips. You'll catch yourself drifting and pull yourself back quicker. This awareness is a sign of progress. Most people don't even realize when they lose focus. But when you train daily, you become sharper, more alert, and more present. That presence carries into conversations, work, and personal life. People will notice that when you engage with something, you are fully there. That presence commands respect. Deep concentration also leads to deeper understanding. When you spend time focused on a subject, your brain goes beyond memorization. It begins to see patterns, connections, and principles. You start to think critically instead of just repeating information. This is the difference between surface-level learning and real intelligence. Practicing this daily ensures that your knowledge grows roots instead of floating on the surface. There is also a long-term reward. Intelligence is not fixed. Your brain has the ability to grow new connections and strengthen pathways throughout your life. Each time you practice deep concentration, you are literally building your brain. You are shaping it to handle complexity, to stay calm under pressure. Over years, this practice compounds and the difference in mental power becomes obvious. Another effect of this habit is peace of mind. Scattered thinking creates stress. When your attention is pulled in many directions, you feel restless and drained. Deep concentration brings calm. It is a form of discipline that quiets the noise and allows you to experience flow. The state where you are fully absorbed and performing at your best. That feeling is deeply satisfying, and it keeps you motivated to return to the practice every day. Imagine a life where deep concentration is your daily standard. You would read with focus, work with intensity, think with clarity, and live with awareness. Your intelligence would rise not because of more information, but because of better thinking. That is the promise of this habit. It is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It transforms how you learn, how you decide, and how you create. So commit to this. Each day, set aside time to practice deep concentration. Protect it, value it, and use it. Don't settle for shallow attention. Don't scatter your energy. Train your mind to go deep, to stay with one thing until it is clear, until it is done, until it is mastered. Each day you practice, you raise your intelligence a little more. Over months and years, that growth will make you sharper, stronger, and more capable than most people ever become. Your intelligence is in your hands. It is not fixed by birth, it is shaped by habit. And the habit of practicing deep concentration daily is one of the most powerful ways to shape it. Decide today to start. Train your mind tomorrow. Repeat it the next day. With time, your intelligence will rise to levels you never imagined, simply because you chose to give your attention fully, deeply, and consistently. Chapter 10. Upgrade your wisdom daily by applying what you learn. Learning alone does not change a life. You can read every book, listen to every lecture, and take notes on endless advice, but if you never apply what you learn, nothing changes. Knowledge only becomes wisdom when it is lived. The people who rise in life are not simply the ones who know more, they are the ones who act on what they know. Every single day offers you a chance to upgrade your wisdom by taking something you have learned and using it in real life. That is how growth happens, not in theory but in practice. Think about how many lessons you've already come across in your life. Ideas about health, about money, about discipline, about relationships, about time. Some of them you understood, some of them you even agreed with, but if you never applied them, they stayed as ideas. They never became part of your habits, your decisions, or your results. That is where most people get stuck. They collect information but don't use it. Smart people make a different choice. They ask, what can I do today with what I know? How can I turn this lesson into action? That daily habit is what turns information into transformation. Wisdom is tested in real situations. You can study patience, but wisdom is shown when you actually stay calm in a difficult conversation. You can learn about financial responsibility, but wisdom is proven when you resist the urge to spend and invest instead. You can know the value of health, but wisdom is practiced when you exercise, eat well, and take care of your body. Applying what you learn every day gives you experience, and experience is what deepens understanding. Without application, knowledge remains shallow. With application, it becomes wisdom that sticks. The reason daily application is so powerful is because it compounds. When you take one lesson and apply it today, tomorrow, you are a little stronger. When you apply another lesson the next day, you grow again. Day by day, the lessons stack up, and so does your growth. In a year, you are not just someone who has learned many things, you are someone who has lived many things. That difference is visible. People can see the discipline, the confidence, and the results in your life. To upgrade your wisdom daily, you must first slow down enough to ask yourself, what did I learn recently that I can apply today? It could be something simple. Maybe you learned the importance of gratitude, so you write down 3 things you are thankful for. Maybe you read about the value of sleep, so you go to bed earlier tonight. Maybe you learned about listening, so in your next conversation, you practice giving your full attention. The action does not have to be big, but it must be real. Each time you apply, you are shaping yourself into someone wiser. Application also creates accountability. When you act on what you've learned, you prove to yourself that you are serious. You move from talk to action. This builds trust with yourself. Many people feel weak, not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't do what they know. They lose faith in themselves, but when you apply lessons daily, you restore that faith. You tell yourself, I can be trusted to act. That inner trust builds confidence that no one can give you. You must earn it. Another reason application matters is because life teaches you more once you take action. Reading about something gives you theory, applying it gives you feedback. You see what works, what doesn't, and what adjustments are needed. For example, you may read about a new way to manage time. When you apply it, you discover which parts fit your life and which don't. That feedback loop sharpens your wisdom. Without application, you never learn these deeper insights. Daily application also protects you from overwhelm. In today's world, there is too much information. People consume more than they can handle, and because they don't apply, they feel stuck. By focusing on applying just one lesson daily, you simplify growth. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to act on one idea at a time. That steady pace builds momentum, and momentum builds transformation. Applying what you learn also builds humility. It reminds you that wisdom is not about showing off what you know, but about living in a way that reflects it. You don't need to impress others with knowledge, you need to improve yourself with action. Over time, this humility earns respect. People notice when you are not just speaking about growth, but showing it in your life. There's also an emotional benefit. Applying lessons daily makes you feel progress. Nothing gives more energy than seeing yourself improve through action. Even a small step applied today gives you pride and motivation to keep going. That feeling is what keeps you consistent. Without application, you may feel like you're always learning, but never moving. With application, you see evidence of change, and that fuels you forward. This habit also builds resilience. When you apply lessons daily, you get used to trying, adjusting, and improving. You stop fearing mistakes because you see them as part of growth. Each day is another experiment. Each action is another chance to learn. That mindset makes you stronger in the face of challenges because you trust that even if things don't go perfectly, you'll learn something useful. Imagine how your life would look if you applied one lesson every day for the next year. That's 365 actions. Some small, some big, all meaningful. You'd be healthier, wealthier, stronger, more disciplined, more patient, and more focused. You would not only know how to live better, you would be living better. That is the difference daily application makes. Another important point is that wisdom grows when you share what you apply. Teaching someone else about a lesson you're living reinforces it in your own life. It also multiplies its impact, because now two people are practicing it. So when you apply something and see results, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others, not as empty advice, but as something you are actually living. That authenticity makes your words powerful. To practice this habit, keep a journal of lessons and applications. Each day, write down one thing you learned and how you applied it. Review it over time. You'll see a record of your progress. That record will motivate you to keep going, and it will remind you how far you've come. Wisdom is not about knowing everything, it's about using what you know to live better. That is why daily application matters more than endless study. A small lesson lived is worth more than a big lesson ignored. Each time you apply, you take control of your growth. Each time you act, you move closer to the life you want. So make the decision today. Don't just learn, apply. Take one lesson from yesterday and use it today. Take one idea from today and put it into practice tomorrow. Keep repeating this cycle. With time, you'll see your knowledge transform into wisdom, your habits transform into results, and your life transform into something far greater than you imagined. That is the power of daily application. That is how you upgrade your wisdom, by living what you learn every single day.